Hey guys, Dave from Wolfhard Hobbying here, and today we're going to take a look at painting Lillith, aka the Mother of Monsters. This is another Malifaux model from my Neverborn crew, if you're not familiar with Malifaux. And the color scheme I'm going to go with this model is very dark themes. I'm kind of doing that with all of my Neverborn, dark purples, blues, and things like that. So to get us started on this model, I'm going to come in with Minotaur's Echemos, or however you pronounce it. It's about in line with Xerxes Purple, I believe it's called, from GW's range. But it's a good kind of mid-tone to dark color, which is what I want. So loading it up in my Badger Patriot 105, which I am loving to use for my base coating. It gets base coats done really fast. That's pretty much all I use it for. I'm not a master of the airbrush yet, but I am trying different things. So to get us started, I'm just going to base coat the entire mini in the Echemos purple. And mainly focusing this color on her coat, as that's the only purple color on her that I will be painting. But you know, it's not going to hurt if you get it on other parts of the model. So as you can see, it's a nice deep color. It's almost blending in with my matte there, but we're now going to come in and we're going to start highlighting it up in a different technique. So with it dry, I'm going to come in now with Minotaur's demonic skin. This is kind of like a demonette skin from GW, and I want to create kind of a gradient going up. So I've lowered my PSI to about 15 PSI, and again, just want to build a gradient up to the back of her coat. I've done this once before, but I kind of screw up doing it this time. As usually my gradients are usually going one color to black, but you want to spray off the model and then work your way up with the gradient. Now this is the part I screw up. As you can see, there's kind of a splattering effect going on at the top of my gradient, and that's due to me not thinning the paint. Now it is an airbrush paint, but when you're working at a low PSI and you want to do kind of a detailed gradient like this, you will need to thin it down a little bit more. But I decided to keep it to show you that, you know, I make mistakes too, and how I will go about correcting that wispy effect. So it's not a difficult process to fix it, but it's just a little time consuming. So to fix that wispy effect, I'm going to come in with Druchii Violet. With this one, I'm not thinning it down too much, so I'm just laying down an initial coat just to make sure that the color that is going to change with the demonic skin is going to be the color I want. So then I come in with a heavier wash. This one's a little too heavy. I got a little overzealous with the wash, but this will tie in the color, and that wispy effect will kind of fade away. But you don't want to put too much, because as you can see, it's pooling here in the bottom. So just taking my damp brush, I'm just going to smooth that out. But again, it's going to really give us a nice transition and fix up that mistake. So I'm going to just kind of put a thin coat of the wash just to distort the color of the purple on the rest of the model, so that it doesn't feel like you can see where I started with the wash and everything like that. It just ties it all together. You don't have to do this step, but I just wanted to be careful, and it also helps darken that purple a bit, so in the long run, it's not really hurting the model. So as you can see, after one coat of the wash, it got rid of that wispy effect. It tied those purples together, gave me a nice gradient. You could do a second one and just worry about going about the mid of the coat up to her back, and then you could highlight it after that as well. But I'm not going to. I really like the effect that this gave me. So now I'm going to worry about painting her skin. But again, with these Malifaux models, they don't have a lot of skin on them, surprisingly. But with them being small, you don't want to worry about too many highlighting and things like that. So you want to kind of start right where you want your color to be. And to do that, I'm coming in with Celestra Gray. If you watched my Rotten Belle video, I used this for her parasol, and I'm going to be highlighting it exactly the same way as I did in that video, where it's just going to be this color and then my stark highlight. So getting started, I'm just going to go in the face. Now this will take me a couple coats, as it is a light color going on top of a darker color, but thin coats allow you to control how the color changes due to the primer. So as you can see, I just did her arms, her face, her chest, and that's all the skin that is on Lillith. She's covered up a lot by her outfit. So coming in now with Ulthen Gray, we're going to start our highlighting of her skin. It's a light gray, almost off-white, which is what I like. So to get us started, you want to find the exaggerated points of to highlight on these models. With them being so small, if you want them to pop on the tabletop, you really need to make sure where these highlights are going to go. So I'm going to start on her forearm here, as it is a predominant, almost, well, it's not flat, but it's curved, but it's the biggest part that's kind of sticking at the highest point of the model. So figured that was the best place to start, and just using the edge of my brush, I'm just kind of bringing along that that forearm. So the next part, I'm going to accentuate the chest, because I don't want it to look like she's kind of just bulging out. I want it to look like she's got curvature in her chest. In female body, when painting, I find it very difficult to highlight the chest area. There's ways you can do it to look natural, but again, I want stark highlights, exaggerated highlights, just so that when you're looking at it on the tabletop, it looks really nice. So with these fingers here, they are sprawled out along the blade, the way she's holding it. So I'm doing individual fingers there and just running the side of my brush over the knuckles and fingers on the top part there. So that's it. That's all I'm highlighting on her skin. Now you could highlight her face a little bit, but with her hair, I believe this light would be blocking a lot of that. So I'm just going to do the tip of her nose here. Looks a little weird now, but later down the line, I'm going to brighten up her face in the eyes and the lips and things like that. So it will distract you from that kind of suntan lotion nose. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do her sword and then her outfit. To get us started on the sword, I'm coming in with a 3-to-1 mixture of 3 drops of Ironbreaker to 1 drop of Vallejo's Gunmetal Blue. I've used this similar mixture with my Scores of Skirmisher painting his sword as well. I really like this blue. It's especially when you brighten it up, because it is a very dark blue. So I do suggest brightening it up or using it on a lighter primer. So in this case, I needed to brighten it up to give us this nice blue sheen here. So I'm just going to paint that on both sides. I'm going to skip ahead. You really don't need to see me paint that too much. But with the fingers, you have to be careful. I kind of started from the outside and pushed the tip of my paintbrush in between the fingers, or you could just kind of paint it from inside the fingers outwards. So with the blade done now, it's got this nice blue sheen to it, and it looks beautiful. I really love this color. I don't think I could say it any more than that. But now we're going to highlight the more sharper part of the blade. So I'm coming in with Ironbreaker here. Now this was a color mistake on my part, of course, because I'm the one who's painting it. I would probably have gone with maybe a 4 or 5-to-1 mixture of Ironbreaker with the Gunmetal Blue and highlighted this part, instead of coming in with just a straight mid-tone silver. Just because the way the blade is modeled or made is you've got this sharp edge here right along here, and it goes to a very fine tip, but the sharpened surface doesn't really follow that to the tip. So I would have probably liked to have done a mixture with the gunmetal blue and kind of build up a gradient transition there, but I don't go back and do that at all because I don't want to spend a lot of time on these models. They're very small, so I'm just going to kind of paint more of the end part, the iron breaker, instead of keeping that gunmetal blue. So after the sword's done, we're going to come in and we're going to start doing her outfit. So just to show you the sword in its completion, like I said, I brought where the metal, the iron breaker is farther up on the blade than I had initially planned, but you know, learn from your mistakes, I guess, or learn from my mistakes. So to come in, I'm going to start with her outfit, so her pants and her corset. And I want to keep it kind of black, so I'm coming in with Vallejo's black gray. I don't want to do a flat black, as some details I find get lost, whereas with this black gray, which is a really dark gray, you don't lose as much of those details. Again, I don't want to do a whole bunch of highlighting to bring those details back, as I'm not going for a display standard here. So just painting the entirety of her outfit in this black gray. And then I'm just going to do some stark highlights on top of that. So with this color, I usually only do one coat, but sometimes it could take 2 coats. It's all up to you on how much you want to do. So while the black is drying, I'm coming in with XV88 to start the leather boots. Because Malifaux, to me, has a very Western influence in it, which it does. I like doing a lot of leather boots because that just seems, when I think of Westerns, I think of like the cowboy boots and things like that. So she's got these kind of like high heel leather boots on her, which is kind of strange to see, but you know, I'm not going to judge. So here I am, I'm just finishing my second coat. It does take 2 coats for this brown, and it could probably take 3 or 4 coats actually, but I'm going to come in a little later with a wash, and it's just going to hide all that anyways. So with that done, I'm going to come in and start highlighting her outfit here. And I'm going to just go straight into Administratum Gray. You could build up the highlights again, but I just want to do pretty much one highlight, get her on the table, and start, you know, wrecking face with her if I can. So I'm just doing the edge of where her pants end, just to give some separation between the pants and the shirt. So I'm using a fairly small brush to do my highlights here, as I'm not going extreme highlights. She's got some cross hatches in her pants just above those buckles. I go in a little later and do those. But again, with the chest, you want to give it curvature, so you don't want to do the entirety of the chest, as it'll look a little weird. So I'm just going to do a small highlight just on the top, because my light source is essentially coming down from the top. So just taking the edge of my brush and very lightly hitting that top. So just like that, just to give it a little bit of look of a curvature. Again, I don't want to accentuate her chest too much. I don't want that to be the focal point on the model. So, but again, with the female anatomy, I do struggle sometimes with highlighting and things like that. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. In the next video, we're going to worry about these straps, her armor plates, and these belts coming down from her collar and around the chest and on the legs and things like that. But that's it for this video, guys. I want to thank you guys for your continued support. I will have a link to my Facebook account and my Patreon account. Let me know what you guys think of the video in the comment section below. Give it a like. I want to thank you guys for continuing to support my channel, and have yourselves a great day.